morning, my fellow Tottenham fans, and happy Monday morning to you all. And hopefully you're getting off to a great start of the week. Despite the result at the weekend, I'm actually doing okay. I've had a good start to today, a good healthy bowl of porridge. Get me nice and strong and ready for the day to take on anything that comes my way. How are you all doing this Monday morning? Let me know in the comment section below. Now, I won't lie. I'm still a bit disappointed off the result of the weekend, of course, where we were away to Everton lunchtime Saturday. And it's just the same old ugly problems rearing their head. You look at set pieces. How many problems have we had with set pieces down the years, but especially of late? And it seems like we're not working on them on the training ground. It's a simple solution. Vicario's being left on his own with one of the attackers or one of the opposition players, and he's just been absolutely bullied in there. Now, two things on that. First of all, it's easy resolved. You just get a player to come and take that man, get himself between Vicario and the opposition player, and get him to sort of put his body weight on him and push him back, which frees Vicario to be able to come out and sort of deal with that ball. But second of all, Vicario just needs to be stronger and stop moaning and looking at the referees for protection. We know we're not going to get it. We haven't got at the rub of any decisions really this season since that Liverpool result. So he just needs to be a lot stronger and learn to deal with it himself and use that old saying, that old expression. The keeper needs to come and take man and ball. It's that simple. Also, the amount of late goals that we are conceding is becoming a huge concern of mine. That's now 8 from the 90th minute onwards this season. That's more than any Premier League team has done over the history of the Premier League. It is nowhere near good enough and something that they really need to sort out and fix and find out why it's happening. Let me know in the comment section below why you think it keeps happening. But lastly, the lack of creativity without a 31-year-old son is a problem as well. You know, we don't want to be a sort of one-man team. And look, the argument is, oh, well, we're not killing teams off. But let's be brutally honest. Go back and look over the last while or a lot of the games this season. We don't create enough clear-cut chances or enough good opportunities to actually kill the game off. There's a lot of huffing and puffing, but ultimately not enough sort of actions or creativity in the team to be able to go and kill teams off. And it's just naivety, in my opinion. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. But the reason why I am here is to recap how the last weekend has gone for our players out on loan. Of course, some of them have a huge future at Tottenham Hotspur, and some of them are on temporary homes until we find a permanent solution for them in the summer. So we will start with Ashley Phillips. Now, the reason why I start with Ashley Phillips every week is because I do believe that this guy has an absolute huge future at Tottenham Hotspur. So that's why I start with him. And of course, he was in action for Plymouth this weekend, along with other starlet Alfie Devine, who we'll get on to in a minute. But Phillips played the full 90 minutes in the back three of Plymouth, helping them to a clean sheet and their first away win in the Sky Bet Championship this season. It was another tough test of Phillips' defensive capabilities off the back of being bombarded last week by Leeds, and he was put under long spells of pressure as Argyle had to do a lot of defending, especially in the second half, but they did so with terrific resilience. Good defending by Phillips, who made a crucial block on 16 minutes to stop Swansea from taking the lead and keeping Plymouth on level terms, where moments later, Plymouth Argyle went up to score the only goal of the game, which Devine was involved in. On the 78th minute, Phillips got in the way of a cross that deflected off him and was looping towards his own goalkeeper, but his blushes were spared by their goalkeeper, Connor Hazard, who was Plymouth's man of the match on the day. Plymouth Live gave him a 7 in their player ratings, and they had to say it is impressive how much of a physical presence that Phillips has about him at the age of just 18. After 4 successive starts for the Pilgrims since arriving on loan from Tottenham Hotspur, it's already clear he is more than good enough to play at championship level. Now, a physical presence is exactly what I want to hear, and it's great to hear about an 18-year-old, as usually that's something you would say they probably struggle with, you know, the sort of physicality making that step up, but it does not seem to be the case here for Phillips. If you go back and watch the game, you can find him hurtling himself towards crosses time and time again when they were put into that Plymouth box, which is absolutely huge for him and a huge benefit, and something we could do it at Tottenham Hotspur, because the amount of set piece goals we're conceding of late is really annoying. But it's also something that sort of stands him in good stead for the future. Now, one area I do think he really sort of does need to work on is how good he is on the ball. I think he gave away possession 18 times and only completing 67% of his passes, and none of his 9 long balls attempted were successful. And he will really need to improve these sort of numbers, because especially if he wants to get into Ange Postecoglou's teams next season, and probably the reason why he was loaned out in the first place. So for me, that's probably one area that we need to focus on this loan move. I already knew that he was brilliant defensively, and he's somewhat competent. He was brilliant on the ball for the under-21s, but Dorrington, you could see, was streets ahead in that sort of department, and an area that Phillips really sort of needs to work on to try and make and force his way into the Tottenham team in the summer. It's absolutely crucial, especially with the way Tottenham play. And just one other thing, there was also a couple of times where he was caught maybe ball watching and did allow his marker to sort of run off him from crosses, and they sort of led to a couple of chances. And it was goalkeeper Hazard behind him that sort of saved these blushes at times. And on another day, if he didn't, we could be talking about maybe a different performance here from Ashley Phillips. However, he made 9 clearances, 1 block, 1 tackle, 1 interception in a good defensive showing all round. So another sort of solid display from Phillips, but has a couple of things that he sort of needs to work on and iron out. Now, moving on to his partner in crime, and that is Alfie Devine. Alfie Devine was back in action after being cup tied for Plymouth's draw at Leeds last weekend. He played 73 minutes and had a role to play in Plymouth's winning goal before being substituted as Plymouth were under the pump from Swansea, who were chasing the game. Devine made his second Argyle appearance as one of the 2 attacking players behind the striker in Argyle's 3-4-2-1 formation. Devine had a huge role to play in Plymouth's only goal of the game, which came on the 18th minute as he made a daring run to receive the initial short corner. The corner was taken short to Devine, who laid it back to Forshaw, who then found Whitaker, who shot from the edge of the penalty area and found the back of the net. It was just a bit of genius from Alfie Devine, and maybe something that they've been working on in the training ground beforehand. He sort of presented himself as an option at the near post, then made a quick dart out to be able to receive that ball, lay it back off to change angle of the crossing position, which was absolutely brilliant by Devine. He also had a chance of his own on the 58th minute to double Plymouth's lead, but his shot was blocked. And this is what Plymouth Live's match report had to say about Devine. There was fantastic confidence in Argyle's work, with Devine living up to his name in midfield. Now, what I want to speak about Alfie Devine is, it's interesting the role that they've sort of played Alfie Devine in for this game, where we're sort of tasked with being a creator and sort of spraying the ball about, bringing others into play, and laying on crosses and shooting chances for others. And in the current squad at Tottenham, we currently do have Giovanni Lo Celso as Maddison's deputy. But let's be brutally honest, he cannot fulfill that role if he's always injured. And that is something we do need to sort out come the summer. But also the homegrown quota this summer needs to be sorted out, as we have one of the worst homegrown quotas in the league. And I've no doubt it will be sorted out with the likes of a Devine and Ashley Phillips, maybe a Dorrington and a Donnelly. So for me, I think it's interesting. I would actually keep an eye on Alfie Devine if he continues to play the position for them, because maybe he could come back into the squad in the summer as an understudy to James Maddison, someone who can learn off him, someone you can bring off the bench, and let's see what the kid's got. It'd be very interesting. Let's keep an eye on that. Let me know, would you be okay if Alfie Devine was Maddison's understudy going into next season? And I do think he'll continue to develop at Plymouth, because Foster is a guy that worked with Alfie Devine in the England underage setup, and he was crucial in getting Devine to Plymouth. And he seems to be sort of working on things with him as well. It's like he's sort of centering that Plymouth attack, starting to center around Alfie Devine with players and all running off him. So something definitely to keep an eye on. Be very, very interesting there. Now, moving on to Josh Keeley, who has had another bad weekend this week, as he did play 90 minutes as Barnet dropped 2 points at home in their bid for promotion out of the National League. And it was against Wealdstone. That's why I've put the Wealdstone Raider in there. If anyone knows that famous clip. You want some? You know, you've got no fans. Absolutely brilliant, so it is. But it was a night to forget for Barnet, as they really should have secured all 3 points after taking the lead. They had a number of chances to kill the game off, including a penalty on the 88th minute, which they did not take. And right at the end of the game, Josh Keeley cost them all 3 points. And it was a very soft goal to concede. It was just one long ball straight down the side of their centre half towards the left-hand side of the penalty area. And he more or less had it covered. I don't understand why Keeley had that rush of blood to the head, came off his line, because the striker was going absolutely nowhere. And all of a sudden, it presented an open goal for the striker. And Josh Keeley went to sort of jump as he thought he was going to lob him, and he just placed it in underneath him and basically gave them a late point, which was not needed whatsoever. It was just a rush of blood to the head. And you could see he knew himself that he'd cost him, because he went straight to the ground holding his face in embarrassment. Here's also what Parrott manager has had to say on Josh Keeley after the game. On the ball, he is comfortable and he helps with how we play out from the back. That's why we brought him in here. But he had a nightmare for the goal. He caught himself in no man's land and got himself into a horrible position. He has not made the save he needs to make. It's really poor goal. It's the one error we made all game, and we've got punished for it. So as you can see, fellow Dubliner Brennan is not very happy with Keeley whatsoever. That's the second week that he's dug Josh Keeley out in his post-match press conference. But this is why we've got the young guy out on loan. He's only 20 years of age, which is still very young for a goalkeeper. He's still very raw, as he has only 2 games for St. Pat's as his only senior experience before arriving to Tottenham to play in the under-21s. So this is effectively his first sort of senior experience back week in, week out, and something that he'll have to come to terms with, that he has to be on it every single game. These mistakes matter. There's points at stake. It's not like the under-21s where you make that mistake and then you learn from it as you go forward and stuff like that. It's almost okay to make mistakes. You cannot afford to at this sort of level. And Brennan will only drive him to be a better goalkeeper. But this is why we sent him out on loan, to highlight his weaknesses and highlight where we need to work on him. It's clear to see that ball playing wise, he's absolutely got that nailed down, which is the future of goalkeeping. But you still have to be able to save a ball. You still have to be able to pull off them big moments. And that's one area that Keeley maybe needs to work on, is not having them rushes of blood to the head. And interestingly enough, Barnet fans I've seen the last couple of weeks on their socials maybe calling Keeley out and questioning, is he better than the guy he was brought in to replace? So he's got huge expectancy on his shoulders now. And let's see how Keeley gets on from here. But he has to do a lot better than that. Also, Matthew Craig for Doncaster Rovers. He was on the bench but didn't play any minutes in Doncaster Rovers. 1-1 draw away with Sutton United. That's off the back of being hauled off at halftime last week after failing to make an impact on the game. He clearly has a lot of work to do going forward to regain the trust of the manager to be able to gain more minutes. So not good there for Matthew Craig. Moving on to one of the other guys out on loan, and it is the one and only Troy Parrott, who did score yet again for Excelsior Rotterdam on Friday night in the Eredivisie, as he scored the opener against Almere City to make it 1-0 on Friday night. Unfortunately for Parrott and Excelsior, the home side came back to win the game 2-1. Now, it was a very sort of easy goal for Troy Parrott, who got on the end of a low cross, driven right across the face of the front of the goals. But the best strikers, they sniff out these opportunities, and that's exactly what Troy Parrott seems to be doing. And he's sort of very similar to Robbie Keane in a regard that he's not the most physically imposing striker, right? So he has to rely a lot on his movement to be able to fashion the chances that he needs, that striker needs to be able to score goals. And he's done that. You know, one thing that he seems to do and that he's really improved on since going to the Eredivisie is his movement off the ball to be able to provide himself with the chances that he needs. And he's absolutely flying at the minute. That's now 7 goals and 3 assists in 17 appearances. And I believe he's only actually started 9 of those. So he's definitely moving in the right direction. And interestingly enough, he's actually having a more or less identical season as ex-Tottenham winger Steven Bergwijn, who is also playing for Ajax. Let's take that into account. They're 5th in the table compared to Parrott, who was providing the goals for Excelsior, who were just a few places above relegation. So it probably highlights to the season that Troy Parrott is having, and he's in absolute fine form. And he certainly kicked on to a new level, being on loan at Holland. And I definitely think he deserves a chance because he can play across the whole front three. He is very versatile. And we know Ange Postecoglou loves that. And he's done that for Ireland. He's played off the left, played off the right, and played down the middle. Also, Happy 22nd birthday to Troy Parrott, whose birthday was yesterday on Sunday, the 4th of February. So happy birthday to the Belvedere man, and big yourself up, and hopefully you had a great day. But guys, let me know in the comment section below, would you give Troy Parrott that opportunity next summer, especially in preseason? And just lastly, if he is given that opportunity, I just hope for his sake he doesn't get injured. He always seems to get injuries at the wrong time. When it seems to be that time for him to kick on, he carries an injury. So hopefully he can stay injury-free for the next while and really kick on, as he's starting to progress right now. Now, moving on to Valiz Navidad. Now, he's not in action. He wasn't in action at the weekend, but Sevilla do have a game tonight against Rayo Vallecano at 8 p.m. So it'll be interesting to see if he does get minutes. But I do think it was a very good loan spell for Alejo Valiz, because he's not going to get maybe perhaps the game time he needs at Tottenham, especially with Richarlison and the form he's in. Dane Scarlett's back at the club, and we can't loan him back out. We have to keep him around. And also Sonny coming back. So I think it's wise to get Valiz out on loan, who demonstrated, there's something about him when he did score his debut goal for Tottenham Hotspur, and of course was unlucky to pick up the injury. But there might be chances there. Sevilla need more goals in the team. They're sitting in 17th, a couple of points above relegation. A real sort of tricky season there for him. So it's a real opportunity for Valiz to be able to go and make an impact on European football. It'll be interesting to see how he does and whether he does play tonight. Now, moving on to another guy on loan, and that is Joe Rodon, where he played 90 minutes in their 1-0 over Bristol City as they hurtle towards an automatic promotion spot out of the Sky Bet Championship. And after the game, the Leeds Twitter account did post this, the Great Wall of Rodon, with the picture underneath as well. And Joe Rodon just continues to pull up trees. He also came in for some praise by Troy Deeney after the game for his performance, with Troy Deeney saying, I feel like he is growing up. Physically, he came into himself. He's bigger and stronger. A big part of my game was to rough up the centre halves. And when I played against him, he was probably younger and a bit naive. He is really good on the ball, and he has added his steel to his game. That know-how and game nous has all come with experience. He's got the confidence now. He's a very good player. And Troy Deeney, of course, very well forced to have his opinion on Rodon, because as he alluded to, he has sort of played against him over the years. Now, Leeds Live also gave Rodon an 8 in their player rating, saying, dealt with what came his way in the box, but never asked to do a huge amount. Big header late doors as Leeds were flapping under Bristol's pressure, came into his own in the latter stages. Now, Rodon, at 26 years of age, he is having the season of his life at the minute, and come the summer, there will be a huge amount of interest in him. But I want to know off you guys, should we give him that opportunity as sort of fourth choice centre-back next season, and perhaps look to continue to loan out Phillips and that, and allow them a bit more time to develop outside of that sort of pressure cooker environment at Tottenham Hotspur? Or should we just cash in, but while the price is high on him? Do let me know in the comment section below. And then just a couple of other small sort of bits and pieces for you on the loan department this weekend, as Japhet Tanganga completed another 90 minutes on the right side of a back three for Millwall, as they lost 1-0 away to Hull in the Sky Bet Championship on Saturday afternoon. He was given a 7 in his match ratings by Sofa Score, blocking 3 shots, making 1 clearance, 2 tackles, winning 100% of his aerial duels. And Millwall will need an absolute huge season from him and the rest of the defenders. And interestingly enough, it actually wasn't him this week that made the mistake that led to the Millwall goal. It was a guy called Harding, and their fans are absolutely fed up with him. Seems like their version of Eric Dyer. He keeps making these mistakes, and they're going absolutely ballistic. But Millwall do find themselves 5 points above relegation in the Sky Bet Championship. So Tanganga will need a huge sort of few months to be able to help them avoid the drop. But it's also interesting what's going to go on with Tanganga when he comes back from Tottenham. Some places are reporting that his contract's up in 2025, but some other places are reporting that his contract's actually up this summer, but there is an option on Tottenham's behalf if they want to extend it for a further year. So it'll be interesting whether, whether they do that. And is Tanganga effectively playing for his career? But the best thing about Jaffa Tanganga is that his second 90 minutes back to back. He's had a long sort of injury layoff down the last few years, and it's good to see him getting out there and playing regular football. Sergio Reguilon not in action this weekend, as Brentford are in action tonight versus Man City. Tanguy Ndombele also not in action, and he'll probably be back in action Tuesday night as Galatasaray are playing in the Cup. Eric Dyer completed 90 minutes for Bayern Munich as well, but considering he's out of here in the summer, not going to give you too much about him. And then Jed Spence played on the right-hand side for Genoa this week, his preferred side, and he nearly scored, bar a goal line clearance. He got his header on from across, and it was sort of floating towards the far post, but their defender managed to get back and clear it off the line. But that's it. That's all I have for you for the loan roundup this week. A couple of players could be in action tonight. Let's see how they get on. But guys, let me know your thoughts. Let me know if there's anything else you want to see, or if there's anywhere easier I can go and find this information, because it takes me an awful lot of digging and research to do. So if you do enjoy that, please smash that like button. Smash that subscribe button if you are new. Give me your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll see you all later on. As always, come on, you Spurs. In the mighty hands we trust. We never stop.